Okay, I'm back again. Right, this is the third video. First, second, third, fourth video. Sorry, get it right. Fourth video. And on this occasion, we left off in the last video where I found a chip, an LS367 that had two stuck pins on it, which happened to tally up with address 0 and address 1 coming out the processor. So, since I did the last video, I've changed this chip, and I'll show you the repair. Hopefully you can see it. Where is it? Hang on a minute, I've got to find it. There it is there. As you can see, that's the chip I've changed. I've actually taken the old chip out, and I can show you that as well. There's the old chip. So that's the old chip. As you can see, the way I take these out is I snip all the legs off, which basically destroys the chip, and clean up all the holes. I put a turn pin socket in, as you can see there, and I put another chip which I raided from my junk box. So it's got another LS367 chip in there, which was the one that had the two stuck pins, if you remember rightly. So what we're now going to do, and I haven't done anything since then, just to let you know, I've not even looked at the board or done anything. I've just changed the chip, and I'm going to do exactly what I did before. So I'm going to put my test clip back onto the chip, like so. So the test clip's back on. We're going to go back up to the ADT. I've actually closed it down, but we'll start it again. Let's see if I can get this set up again so you can actually see what's going on here. Okay, well that's not too bad, I guess. Hopefully you can see it's in focus. Right, so what we're going to do is ADT again. Let's go to that. Move that over there so we don't get confused with the window in the background. And we're going to type in 74 LS367, which is the one we want to test, and it's 16 pin. Now this is a chip that had the two stuck pins, if you remember rightly, so we're going to do exactly the same. The board's still powered up, and it's basically as we left off, except the chip's been changed now. Oh, and on this occasion it's passed. We'll do it a few times. Right, we failed there, but that actually could be a spurious one, because you can see that buffer there has got a low input and high output, but all the buffers should be high, high, low, low, high, high, etc. like that. So we'll ignore that. You do get the odd spurious fail like that, and that usually pops up when the signals are moving quite fast. The tester can sometimes catch it on the changeover period. It's just something that can happen with. So in actual fact, that's a good sign, because it means that maybe the address bus is actually a bit more active than it was before. But anyway, you can see it seems to be coming up with different states. Now that's a new state. What it's done is flagged it up as a fail, but as you can see from this, that buffer looks okay because it's high, high, low, 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 high, high, low, 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 low. So that is a state it doesn't know. So what we'll do is we'll save that one. Now it knows that new state. Before you do that, you really ought to check all those states with a truth table for the chip, and if they tally up okay, then do it. Don't do it unless you're absolutely sure, because if you save that, you could be saving a bad state, and then obviously the tester will pass effectively a fail if you're not careful. The next thing we'll do is we'll do a stuck check on it, which we did before, and this flagged up 2 pins. Whoa, look at that, straight away they've all cleared. That's quite amazing. Basically that is telling me that actually that chip is working now, and the stuck pins have gone. Now I did take a gamble on changing this chip. I didn't know any different, but what I did was, from experience, those two outputs that were stuck were probably more likely going to be that chip, because they do feed pretty much all inputs from the rest of the board. And you know, you might get an input that's pulling it high, but it's more likely going to be the output of the chip that will be faulty. So I took a gamble on it. Normally you would obviously do a few more checks, like you might snip the leg of the pin of the chip, etc., and just try and sort of make sure that the chip is actually faulty before you take it out. But I took a gamble. For the price of a new chip, it was worth it, I think. We'll do a short check, which what this does is it checks for adjacent pins shorted together. Now the thing with this is that this buffer has two adjacent pins. So one pin is the input, one's the output, but they're adjacent. So pin 4 and pin 5, for example, you've got the input, the output, so on. So the short check will probably show this up as shorts because it will think these two are shorty because they'll both be changing state at the same time. This is what it looks for. So with a chip like this, you would expect actually to see these all shorted together, and we'll see what comes up. It does take a little bit of time to do, and then it's actually come up. The pins that it claims are shorted together are highlighted in yellow, but the fact they're all yellow is fine because on this particular chip you would expect them both to be changing at exactly the same time. So although it says they're shorted, it's not really. So it's a good sign that chip's working. I think what we'll now do is we'll take out the processor and we'll put in the Z80 pod yet again. So I'm going to turn off the board, disconnect my ATT, plug in my stuff again. 2 seconds while I just do that. I'll do it all on camera. You'll see actually pan down. My tester's actually in bits because this one's actually the next one that I'm going to send out. So it's currently under test, but it does work. And unfortunately this is the VRAM mod you can see that I'm connecting up, which allows it to sort of read VRAM. It's a bit messy. Obviously the ones that get sent out won't be so messy, they'll be obviously a lot better, but this is obviously the one I'm using for the moment. They all do the same thing. So that's the processor out. We're going to pop in the pod. You can see now, if I move down, you can see I've actually got my pod plugged in, which is there. See? Okay, now we're going to go back up to the test screen and we're going to try and read the ROM like we did before. Remember, it was all coming in blocks of 4, so on this occasion we're going to do something different. So we're going to close down the ADT, we don't need that anymore. And we've got it powered up. Let's go to address 0 and we'll do what we did in the video one. We put in FF just to read some data and do a block read. Oh, and on this it looks a lot better. As you can see, we're now not getting blocks of 4, we're actually getting data, which is a lot better. So that is a good sign that this is actually maybe doing something now. At least we can read the ROMs back. And by doing that means that the chip selects are all okay as well. So I'm going to say we could be onto something here. So I think the next thing we'll do is we'll turn this off and we're going to take out the pod. All going well without doing any damage to the board. It's a bit futtery to do, but you do get used to it after all. That's the pod out. Pop in the processor back in again. The board's powered off at the moment, by the way. The processor plugged in, and now we'll move back over to the screen for the board and we'll see what happens. Here we go. So we're on to AV1, which is the screen for my board. I'll move this way back so we can actually see what happens. Turn it on. Oh, hang on. This monitor doesn't sync. We'll turn it off and on and it will sync. It looked a little bit more promising, I have to say. Got something on the screen. Oh wow, look at that. As you can see, and this is the first time, we seem to have Super Cobra working. That is quite incredible. That's the first time I've ever seen it. So there you go, my tester has basically led me to the fault pretty quick, to be honest with you. I've changed one chip, I haven't changed anything else, I haven't done anything else to the board, one chip and it's fixed it. We don't know, there might be sound problems and stuff, but at least we know it's now booting up and it's going through the attract screen. So that's another board my tester has actually fixed. What we need to do now is look at other things just to check the sound works and stuff, so I'll have to try and put some coins in it and stuff like that, kit it on, it's got a coin in, see if any sound comes out of it. But for the moment we've got a booting up screen now, which is pretty good considering the state of the board with all the wire ads and things on it. I think that's quite amazing. So one chip, there you go, 2 stuck pins on the address line, and that solved it for the moment. I'm going to just upload this now and